I made new friends like Roku and Cindy and Pia and others like the Italians. Of course, if you know what that means. And I was able to see Macbeth in person with starring Michael and Mary. It is a great pleasure to be here today, hosting this morning. So without any ado, let's get the show on the road. Roku, let's start with you first of all. Can you introduce yourself and tell us about yourself?
Who?
Yeah, sure. Me.
Riku, yeah, right.
Riku, yeah. Yeah, Riku.
Yes, it's been a busy week for me. I composed a lot of music, and then I was in a funeral of my cousin who died just a while ago, and
I'm sorry.
A song for that funeral, and that was in Jyväskylä, Finland. So I had to travel whole day and just be a couple of hours in the place, and but it was worth it. And then I've been busy doing music and finishing my new song for the band, and now I'm waiting for a nice meeting here, great meeting here. So let's
that's good.
That's
good. So,
thanks, Riku. All right, should I go next, Dominic?
Yeah, you go next.
Okay, I'm Michael. I'm with Strimberg Laboratory. We're really excited to be a part of this dream workshop today. We're so excited to have to learn about how to fulfill our dreams.
Yes, and I'm Mary, also from Strindberg, and I can't wait to learn more about today's workshop. So fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And Dominic, should Liz and Sarah, let's skip you because you guys are going to do the dreams. Is that okay?
Okay. We don't mind being skipped.
William?
Hello, I'm William from what I would say a sunny but can be rainy in a second Aberdeen in the northeast of Scotland.
Right. Thanks, William. Anita.
Next.
Yeah. Anita.
Hi, my name is Anita. I'm from Finland and I'm helping organizing the festival, and I'm really excited to be here. I was actually supposed to start my holiday today, but I postponed it because I wanted to participate. So I'm going to start my holiday.
That's a great one. I love it.
Good call. Good call,
Thank you.
Anita.
Next is Josh. Josh?
Hi, I'm Joshua. I live here in Los Angeles, California. I'm an actor, a film major, and for me, Busy Week.
Nice.
Yeah, this week is, just starting classes today and doing the workshop.
Good. What about Thomas? Hi, Thomas. How you been?
I'm good, thanks.
Tell us about yourself, first of all.
Where are you, Thomas?
I'm from Los Angeles, California, and
Thank you.
I used to have 3 jobs. I have 2 jobs. One of which is where I'm a magician over with Poof Magic Shop. My own magic shop, and I also am a farm fellow over at an organic farm over in Malibu.
All right.
That's excellent.
Thanks,
Next is Pia. Oh, Cindy.
Yes, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi,
Tell us
Dominic.
about yourself.
I'm Cindy from Espoo, Finland. I was in the festival last year, so that's why I'm here again this year. I don't dance or sing or do anything.
What?
That was
You
fun.
you're gonna do the Morrisers.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's true.
Happy to see you. Next up is Liz Leach.
We'll wait for Liz.
Yeah, let's do Kevin. How about Kevin?
Kevin.
Mhm.
Good morning, Kevin.
Hi there. Good morning. Top of the morning to you, or afternoon, wherever you are.
Yeah.
My name is Kevin. I am with Musical Intervention in New Haven, Connecticut. And last night I was doing several mixes for several of our artists. So about last night, that's why I'm like this. But other than that, I am just happy to be here. Looking forward to really be a part of this this live stream and all that. Just really get into the whole dream aspects. I'm really looking forward to seeing this.
All right.
Very good to have you, actually.
Thank you.
Next up is John. John, can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm John. I'm a social worker in Scotland, and I'm involved with the We Are One Festival. So pleased to be here tonight.
Thank you. And next up is Keith. Keith, tell us about yourself.
Hi, yeah, I'm Keith from Glasgow in Scotland. I spent the afternoon with John in a meeting and the morning with Alistair in a meeting, but I wish I could come on and say I've got two jobs and one is a magician. I'd love to be able to say that. But the only thing I do sometimes is sing.
Just put on the hat trick, right?
Give you, Keith.
There you go. That's the way of magic, of course. Next up is Sarah. Sarah,
Alistar, Dominic. Because Sarah's
Alistar?
Yeah.
Alistar, can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, so I'm Alistair from Aberdeen in northeast of Scotland, same place as William. Yeah, I'm just back from 2 weeks holidays, and sorry I was a couple of minutes late. I was desperately trying to finish off the wee animated video advert for the No Labels, No Wills Festival, but I didn't quite get it finished in time, so I'll have to share it after.
That sounds great. Thank you.
And Neasley's the last one.
And last but not least is Liz Leach.
Hi, good morning. Good
Liz
morning.
Leach.
Good morning, Dominic. Good morning,
Morning.
everyone. My name is Neasley. I am a pastor and a chaplain. I am in the Los Angeles area. Working on all different kinds of things, whether it's health and healing, discipleship, fellowship, social justice. I am now all online, even though I'm not working. I'm volunteering and I'm doing all of this stuff online, and it's always good to be here on Monday morning.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thanks, Neasley. Well, thank you, Dominic. Great job, Dominic.
Thank you.
Really, very well done.
Thank you.
So just before we start with Liz and Sarah, I just want to point everybody to the chat. Does everybody have the chat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did everybody see those links? So that first link is a form. So it's that form, if you fill it out, then we know what you want to do for the festival. So please, if you can, fill it out when you can. And then the second link is just the press release about the festival. A couple things coming up. Next week, we're going to be kind of talking more about the festival. And then the following week, we have a magic act and a art act. And then also Anita is going to be talking a little bit about what we're up to as far as the organizing of the festival. And then the following week, we have a special announcement. We're going to be having No Labels and No Walls family meeting. Now, what that is, it's going to be whoever you consider family and friends. It could be grandparents, brothers, sisters, you name it. Friends, whatever. And we're going to have like 5 questions. We're going to all tell like family stories and a kind of about like, maybe like the past, and then talking about the future and kind of how you know, relates to the past, how it differs. And I've got like 4 or 5 questions. And let's say some older people maybe don't have access to internet, so they can write it down. You guys can share what they're writing. Can I kind of include, you know, people without internet access maybe? So it's called the Family Meeting, and that's going to be coming up on August 10th. So please, I love to see, you know, why you all look the way you do, and so, and you know.
And there's no restriction how many family members or friends
That's right.
you can invite. So
yeah,
it can be 1 or, you know, 10 or more.
10 or more. 10 or more. But it's a great chance. I think it's important, you know, for talking about citizenship, talking also about family. So that being said, Liz and Sarah, it's all yours. Yeah, let me just put everybody on mute if you're not on mute.
Great. So it's wonderful to be here. It's yeah, we've been really looking forward to being part of this and contributing to this. And just thank you, Dominic, for just the pure, absolute enthusiasm from everyone here. So we're looking today at dreaming and the importance of dreaming. So what I'm going to do to start off, if my technology works, is I'm going to share with you something we've put together. Here we are. So can I have a bit of a thumbs up if you can see that? Yay, brilliant, wonderful, it has worked. So we're looking at the importance of dreaming today. And what we're wanting to cover, I'm just going to put that up there, is what dreaming means. And when we talk about dreaming in this context, we're not talking about the things that we do when we're asleep. We're not talking about dreaming in sleep mode. We're talking about dreaming in the sense of when we have aspirations and when we have ideas and when we have things that we'd love to achieve in life. And it's how them ideas about what we'd love to do, and if nothing was going to hold us back, what our life would look like, how listening to them dreams can be the real stories and the real insight into where good change can happen to lead to a good life. So that's what we're going to be looking through today. So welcome, and thank you again for coming along. So what are dreams? When we really start looking at what dreams create, we start to realize that some of the big social changes, some of the things around how people have come together to create change in society, some of the artistic endeavors that's brought about people's expression, and that could be visual artistry, or it could be music that's brought people together, how all that comes from people's imagination and people's ideas, and that freedom to express them ideas. And actually, without some of them dreams and without some of them opportunities for people to express what really matters to them or express what their vision for the future is, where would we be as a group of people? Where would we be as communities? And where would we be as societies? Because it's only when people really have the chance to share them dreams and share them aspirations that we see some of the really fundamental changes happening. And that could be the really big stuff like technology and things for renewable energy and creating a better environment for people. And we wouldn't even be talking today if it wasn't for someone at some stage having an aspiration of or a dream for creating a way of people connecting online and connecting through technology. But when we think about dreams, dreams aren't just for a certain section of society at all. Dreaming is something that we all do. And without them dreams, some of the most inspiring things that we have around us just would not have happened. And there's an image here of a chap that I know for all the artists in the room or in the Zoom. Liam here dreamt for years and years and years and years about being an actor on Coronation Street. And for those that are from England and especially from Manchester, Coronation Street is the go-to soap on an evening with your cup of tea. And Liam always wanted to be an actor in Coronation Street. He trained at an art studio called Mind the Gap in England. And 3 years ago, he got his first part in Coronation Street. And he's one of the is one of the crew of actors on Coronation Street. Hannah Cockcroft here, who is a para-Olympian. She's from Halifax. We've got a gold postbox in Halifax that's a dedication to her and what she's achieved as a para-Olympian. And she's such a source of inspiration for so many people in this local area through what she's achieved. But that started with an aspiration. That started with an idea that she had about what she wanted to achieve. And then you may not recognize the one at all that just looks like a shed. But this one is a story of a guy who wanted to go to festivals. He wanted to be able to go and just stay wherever he wanted to stay. He didn't want to be held back. And this chap, essential wheelchair user, he went about creating a vehicle that he could take with him so he could stay wherever he wanted. This little platform underneath actually goes underneath the van. This ramp folds up. This hooks onto a trailer and he can just go wherever he wants to go. He can go to any festival. And inside he's got tracking in there, he's got accessibility in there. And that all came from him having a vision and having an aspiration and finding a way to make it happen. So dreams are really important, and the work that myself and Sarah have done in the past, working with people around developing plans and person-centered planning. What we've learned through that work that we've done alongside people is actually it's the dreaming element that makes the biggest difference. Listening to someone's dreams and listening to what a good future looks like is really the source of change, and creating the opportunity for people to share their dreams is so important. It's really important around achieving good things for people. Do you want to come in at all, Sarah?
No, you carry on, move it to the next slide.
Okay, will do. So as I was saying, we've done quite a lot of work around person-centered planning, working with people and working in communities. And this next slide is just a story of somebody that I worked alongside. Obviously, the dog isn't the person that I worked alongside. The person that I worked alongside is a guy that lives in my local community. And he invited me along to some of the meetings that he were having. And these meetings were all about his life. He was just about to leave college, and it was all kind of having conversations about what life after college could look like. And at this meeting was his family and social worker and some of the people that had supported him at college. And what I really noticed in this meeting is he kept talking about his love of dogs. And he wanted to take care of dogs, he wanted to walk dogs. And the people in the meeting kept on talking about the services that were available in the local area. So they kept talking about how they might be able to find out if there was a space available at the local day centre, that they might be able to find if there was space available in some local initiatives. And all the initiatives that they were talking about was all connected to the label that he'd been given at some stage in his life as having a learning disability. But he didn't see himself as that label. That label actually meant nothing to him at all. But what he really saw himself as is somebody who could take really good care of animals, and that he could be dedicated to that. And so there was a point in the conversation where there was a bit of a natural gap. And my contribution at that stage is, let's listen to what he's sharing in his story. You know, we're coming up with some of the things that are happening in the community, but we're not listening to him and what really makes a difference for him. And as a result of that, the course of the conversation changed, and instead we started looking at what's happening in the local area. And when we started down that route, what we discovered is actually a mile up the road from where he lived, but tucked away, because we live in quite a rural area, tucked away from the main streets, there was actually a greyhound rescue centre that were crying out for volunteers to go and take the greyhounds for walks. So he went along and he joined in and he became a volunteer. But that was only the start of it, because actually what ended up happening as a result of that is his whole strength of identity, his confidence in himself as a person with things that he wanted to do, his ability to speak out about what he wanted in his life just strengthened massively, because for the first time in his life he'd been listened to and heard, and he'd been supported in a way that made sense to him based on his aspirations. And in part of the work that I've done, this book here, has anybody ever heard of Beth Mount? She's from America, wonderful, wonderful woman who's done some amazing work around community and bringing people together and making sense of some of the difficult stuff we try and work out. And she did some work with Connie Lil O'Brien, and together they produced this book called Building New Worlds. And in this book, there's a really powerful story about a young guy who'd been in school. Within school, he'd been seen as unable to engage in education. They'd created a room for him so that he could have a space where he could desensitize. And basically it was a very isolated experience for him. He didn't have many people around him at all within the school environment. And the educators within the area basically said to his family that there was nothing for him after school. They couldn't find anything that would work for him because it had been so difficult to work out what he wanted within the school environment. He'd not engaged in any classes, there was no sense of what he enjoyed, there were no friendships around him, there were nothing to gauge what would really work for him. And so they had a planning meeting together with him and his family. And in this instance, it wasn't his dreams that were heard, but it was the dreams of the people that knew him best. And when the question were asked to his family and his sisters and his brothers and his mum and dad around what would a good life look like, what would he love to be doing, what would he love to be spending his time doing, they had a bit of a general sense that working alongside animals again would really work for him. But in the middle of New York City, actually finding somewhere where you could work with animals were pretty impossible. So it took quite a lot of community discussions, people speaking to friends, speaking to other families. And then before they knew it, a group of 10 people had expanded to a group of 100 people looking for a farm in New York so that this guy could have a chance at working on a farm. And they found one. They found an urban farm that was used for educational purposes. And he started going along to this farm. And the reason there's a picture of eggs there is because that was his main job. He was the egg collector and the egg packer. And he became known as having a track record of not smashing one egg in the whole time of being on that farm. But what's really surprising about that is that within school, he'd been labelled as having no sight and no hearing. So for somebody with no sight and no hearing to be able to achieve that was phenomenal. But what also happened in that farm is his mum used to visit him just to see, to pop in, how are you getting on, are you enjoying yourself? She popped into the farm, and on one occasion when she came into the farm, he turned to face where she'd actually entered the building. And it was at that point that everyone around him realised he wasn't deaf. He could hear. But the reason he'd been labelled as being deaf is because within the school, there had been nothing that had engaged him. There was nothing for him to actually listen to. But in this new environment that meant something to him, suddenly that label changed. And people's understanding and appreciation of him changed alongside that as well. So that's two stories where actually listening to what really makes sense for someone and how that translates into a day-to-day life making sense for that individual as well, and the difference that that can make. So let's have a think about it. What is it about dreams? What really is it about dreaming that works for people? So we've seen situations where people have had the space to share the dream and had the space to be encouraged to share what that dream is about. And the motivation that then occurs in the rest of the people in the room just by hearing what somebody wants is incredible. How people get involved in that conversation around, how can I help you with that? Or how can I help you move forward? Or connecting people up with other people that they know. It really builds on people's identity as well and kind of provides that sense of purpose. And it inspires others, the starting point of change. And it's the way to support and create connections amongst people. So there was one guy that we worked with, and it was somebody that we was at a conference with, and he was just about to leave school. And he didn't know what life was going to be like after school. All his friends were going to college. He didn't have a college to go to. He was really worried about not being able to keep in touch with people. And so we decided that it'd be good to have a conversation around what a dream would be for him. And at the start of that conversation, he really struggled to kind of express that. At first, he was turning around to the people in the room and asking them what they think. So, what do you think? What do you think I could do for my future? But when we really encourage that message that this is about you and this is about your future and what you want to do, it was like the floodgates opened and he started sharing ideas about wanting to go on holiday, actually, somewhere really sunny with cocktails, and that he wanted to be able to join the local football team, and he wanted to be able to play football in his local team. And actually, he wanted a computer so that he could stay in touch with his friends and he could learn to use the internet and stay in touch that way. And then he started talking about wanting to be a speaker at conferences, and he started talking about wanting to get to the gym and get fit. And suddenly, this blank sheet of paper, and for the first 10 minutes of struggling to really get an idea of what a good future looks like, after an hour, we had a page full of ideas of what a good future would look like. And he has stayed in touch. Sure enough, he soon set up a Facebook account and he kept in touch. And it was only a few years ago that I was talking to him online and I said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And he went, "Oh, I'm good, I'm in Europe." I'm like, "Oh man, what are you doing in Europe?" He said, "I'm talking at a conference." "Oh, fantastic. You're talking at a conference. What are you talking about?" He said, "I'm talking about inclusion." And I'm talking about purpose. And that dedication of being committed to listen to somebody for that hour and the difference it made. And the fact that he's been able to follow his dreams has been a real source of inspiration in other people's lives that have felt stuck as well. But also when somebody shares their dreams, and when we move away from thinking about life based on what's available, but we start thinking about life based on what we're interested in, that's when we can get to the real root of relationships. So somebody sharing the fact that they'd love to learn to drum, or somebody sharing the fact that they want to be in a band and they want to perform on stage, or somebody sharing that they want to be a florist, or when we move away from the labels that society have given people and we start listening to what people's identity is, that's when real connections can start to happen and real friendships can start to form. We work alongside a band called The Outsiders, which is a collective of individuals that have come together on the aspiration of being in a band and performing and going on tour. And they have, through what they've done, inspired loads of people around England around what you can do if you were to pursue your dreams, moving away from just being told what's possible to moving towards creating a good future together. So they've been able to get into the recording studio, record their own albums, They have written their own music. They've gone on tour around England. They've got their own tour bus. They've got the website. They've got merchandise with T-shirts, and they've got a really good following of people that have booked them for weddings, have booked them for celebration events. They've been booked for the NHS celebration, 70-year celebrations. So it just goes to show that following dreams can make such a difference, and it can make life fun as well. So, and then on the reverse of that, and you think about life without dreams, you begin to see how people, the disconnection and being stuck and you know, just kind of not being connected with yourself or other people around you as well, and just getting to a point where you just wait for somebody else to tell you what's possible in your life, rather than being able to move forward with something that really makes sense, and something that makes you jump out of bed and gives you energy and makes life fun and enjoyable, you know. And that's what it should be about for everyone. So here we've got just a little quote that I pinched. Dreams are the seeds of change. Nothing ever grows without a seed, and nothing ever changes without a dream. And in practice, I've seen that is so true. So when we think about the seed of the dream, inside the seed of your dream today lies a harvest of 1 million new dreams for humanity. And people unleashing the dreams and working towards them really does make a difference in other people's lives as well. And if we think about it, what would a seed be without nourishment? You know, a seed needs nourishment to grow. And if somebody had a dream but that didn't have the chance to have any nourishment around it, people didn't listen, people weren't supportive, the space wasn't created to listen to it, we would find ourselves in a situation where where things just don't grow. You know, we don't have that growth, we don't have that nourishment, and things would just come to a standstill. Whereas a seed with nourishment, so listening to somebody's dream and really taking that on board and connecting with it and engaging with that idea, that picture of a good future, is where things can really flourish, where things can grow and things can be healthy and you know, can become something wonderful rather than being stuck. And a seed with nourishment is where we get that energy. That's where, you know, we get to move forward, we get to be in the driving seat, we get to determine our own future. But that seed really needs nourishment. And when we talk about the seed of a dream, what we're talking about is what we learn when we listen to a dream. So we did some planning work with a guy that was stuck in a big busy day centre. He had been in this day centre for 10 years plus. You went in, it was an old building, it was dull, it was dark, and it was busy, and people rushed around. It was very timetabled. And this young guy in this day centre had been given a reputation of being difficult. You know, he was demanding people's attention. He was never happy. He was shouting out. He didn't engage. He wasn't cooperative with what was happening in that environment. But we created a time to listen to his story and to listen to his dream. And when he shared his dream was that he wanted to live by the seaside. He wanted a cottage. He wanted to live by the seaside. He wanted a dog, and he wanted to go on walks with his dog. So when we think about that, we've got a real image of what would make sense for him. And it seems like a big dream. But what we need to really hear is the seed of the dream as well. So what does that tell us about the person? So on hearing that somebody wants to live at the seaside, fresh air, in a cottage, going walking, in the countryside, one of the seeds for me when I hear that story is that this person probably really appreciates peace and quiet. That this person really appreciates animals. This person really appreciates fresh air. countryside, the sound of the sea. And when we appreciate the seed of that dream, and we look at the disparity, the difference between the dream and the person's reality, we realize why there's such a big disconnect, why there's such frustration, upset. So how, from listening to that story, how can we work together to bring that seed of the dream into the person's life now? We don't have to wait until we can afford a cottage by the seaside. But there's certain elements of that seed that we can bring in to our day-to-day experience. So what ended up happening as a result of that is a deeper appreciation of the person, a deeper appreciation of their identity. And people started talking about things and possibilities in a different way. So rather than being stuck in a day centre, getting out for a walk, rather than being stuck in a day centre, spending time somewhere with animals, and converting that dream into something that makes sense right now to make life better. So the starting point is creating the space for the conversation, having a conversation in a really respectful way, not driving the conversation, but the person being in the driving seat of that conversation, the person taking the lead, and us being able to listen. And our part may be just about helping the person get to where they want to be. And it may not be the destination and getting to the destination that really counts, but the journey in getting to that destination and the difference that that can make in somebody's life. So here are just some ways of capturing the dream. Here is a path which stands for Planning Alternative Tomorrows with Hope. And this is a wonderful tool in being able to capture the person's dream, but then also have some really meaningful conversations around the steps to take to get there. And who do we want as part of the journey? And what is life like now? And what do we need in our lives to stay strong, to keep driving towards that? And what actions can we put in place to help us move forward? And then we've got this one, which is capturing the dream with maps, and this is making action plans. And this one's really about capturing the person's story as well. What got us here in the first place? What's our biography? What's our background? And the one that's slightly different with this as well is that nightmares and dreams, we capture the nightmares as well as the dreams. So it gives us a really strong picture of what to avoid as well. So before we go any further, what I'd like to see is if there's anyone here with us at this moment in time that would like to share something that's a dream of theirs. Have you got, Mary, have you got control of the muting and stuff? Or does that?
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to make you a co-host.
Oh, wow. That's responsibility.
You have control. You just got it. You're controlled. And Sarah, I think I can make you a co-host too. There you go. Boom.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Can we hear from the audience then? Would anybody like to share their dream? Dominic, you've got your hand up.
Yes. I was in an acting place of being an actor like 20 years back. That was my dream, to be an actor before I had astronauts, and I was going to be an astronaut, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But what I do best is someone turn my life around and being an actor, and it's like, wow, that is some consciousness of being a good job, having a great job, having a great acting, so having fun. So it's great to have those experiences, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That was my dream.
Yay.
That's great.
That's fantastic.
And I still have that to this day, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because quite often we achieve a dream, but we don't stop dreaming at that point, do we? We have a new dream.
We keep going.
That's right. That's really great. Has anybody else got a dream they'd like to share? Kevin has his hand up.
I mean, Xavier, you're my new favorite, so I just gotta say that first off. Second of all, I just love the idea that the dream is forever changing, constant, no matter what, just adaptive. There's never linear or one place. When I was in high school, it went from I want to be an animator to I just want to, when I got into music, I just want to be in a band. I want to play sold out shows and all that, go all distance. And then when I got into like production, I was like, I want to produce records. And then while it didn't seem to pan out the way I hoped, some new things came along the way that really turned a perspective in my life. And I want to thank those experiences for shaping me to where I am at this point in time. And I just owe it to just the dream factor. That is the best spirit you can have, like just as a human being. And I think as far as everybody else that's going to share, it's keep those dreams going.
Kevin, thanks for sharing that. Did you find along your journey that there were people who believed in you and understood your dream and supported it as you were moving on your journey? Was that something that helped?
So I can tell that I had family and friends that thought my dreams were far-fetched and maybe there wasn't some motivation behind it. But once I started to see the work and actually put the work into it, I think I'm going to quote Jimmy Eat World when they say, you learn to want the work more than the reward. It's a newer song, but yeah, I like just how the lyric stands out. Are you going to love the work more than the reward, or are you going to love the rewards that come without putting the work in it?
That's great. Thanks for sharing, Kevin.
Thank
Thomas, you had your hand up, didn't you? Do you want to share?
Yeah, actually, I would like to say that I have very big dreams. Like my original dream was to one day, just one day, eventually work at the Houdini magic shop over at Disneyland. And then one day when, like at the beginning of this year, when my mom and dad and I had gone over to Las Vegas for some family stuff, and I saw a Houdini magic shop there, I figured, I try to apply myself for that Houdini magic shop. But then once this whole COVID thing came about, I don't know what to do.
Have you been practicing your magic, Thomas, while you've been in lockdown?
Sometimes, not. I think I need to do that more often than not. I'm definitely taking lessons, that's for sure.
That's good. Because it doesn't go away, does it, your dream? You still want to do it.
Yeah, I still want to pursue that dream.
That's great. That's really good. Hang on to it. Don't let go of it.
Oh,
We're not going to be in lockdown forever.
Nope.
That's really
Hopefully
cool. Has
not.
anybody else got a dream they'd like to share? Ricky, did I say that right?
Yes,
Ricky.
you did. Yes, you did.
Excellent. Sorry, it's my
Yeah.
English accent. It probably sounds very strange to you all.
No, not exactly strange. Yeah. I just been dreaming for big success in music business and all that. And after having success on my own, quite a lot in music industry, and of course in the no labels, no laws, too. I've been very satisfied of that, and I'm open to everything what future comes, and I hope it's all positive. So
It's really good to share, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
that's a good feeling.
Yeah, and then sometimes when you hear other people sharing, it gives you new dreams and ideas, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Does
Yeah.
anybody else have a story to share, a dream or an idea? Maybe you've had an idea while you've been listening today.
It's got Alistair.
Yeah, do you want Mike? Yeah, it's not so much a personal one. It's just this whole it's just this whole type of work and this type of thing we're involved in. I think it's just, you know, staying hopeful in the face of, you know, all the negativity, all the stuff that's got in the way, to just stay hopeful and honest and not compromise on dreams generally. And yeah, if I was to say lyrics, it's probably one, I wouldn't say the whole of it, but it's from Rage Against the Machine. It ends with, I won't do what you tell me. That meeting people who keep getting told that they can't do this and they can't do that. And my dream is that we keep on just having the courage to say, even when it gets hard, you know what, we're going to be there beside you and smashing down those walls, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so good, isn't it? William, would you like to share something? Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I'm unmuted. I think.
Great.
My dream's a bit strange. I plan to, in the next probably 20 years, become Prime Minister or First Minister of Scotland or the United Kingdom.
Oh, wow, that's a great dream. That's so good. I love that. Have you got an idea how are you going to work towards that, William?
No, but had I been born in America, I would have tried to be president and knock Donald Trump off the throne.
If I'd have been American, I would have voted for you, William.
Yeah, I'm voting for you. Absentee, William,
Yeah,
absentee.
I think
Have I missed anybody? Yeah, just unmute yourself if you want to share.
Oh, I just wanted to say about when I was studying acting and doing, I always dreamt I had my own theater and being control. And then, of course, I studied, and it's being an actor, going to auditions, and you know, not just the struggling. And at some point, I had somebody who was really supportive, and we collaborated a lot, who was here in Los Angeles, and that was time when I was in back in Finland, and to realize, like what Kenning said, that the process of doing, when I started actually doing my own shows, writing, collaborating, I started to really loving the process. So then also more things happened, and you know, more opportunities I got, more I just really concentrated on the work and did and enjoyed it, instead of like, oh, I'm out of work, what am I going to do, where's the next job? So kind of taking the, you know, studying, really doing real things and being really creative with the things you had. So that was just something, and now we have our own theater company, and it's really fulfilling work. So it's just, and you never know how things, which path what is your path? Like you think, oh, things happen this way, but once you start really putting yourself into the work, think, you know, maybe it takes another route that you couldn't imagine before, but maybe it's even better. So I just wanted to share that.
That's great.
That's fantastic. And being open to that is so valuable as well, isn't it? Because sometimes them unexpected elements of the journey is where some of the greatest learning happens as well, about ourselves and about people around us as well. So some of the other areas we wanted to share as well around dreaming, so I'll just share the screen with you again if I can. I might be pushing my luck here trying to do it twice. Can you see that? Is that good? Yeah. Okay. Good. So let me go like that. So just at the end of this, what we wanted to just cover is some things that we've learned along the way of supporting people to unleash the dreams and to pursue them, is some of the values that we've learned along the way. And one of them is never say never. When we're in a situation where we're sharing our dream, or people around us are sharing their dream, it's with that understanding that we never say never to that dream. Sorry, this presentation is jumping around now. I'll just get to the proper one. There we go. So there we go. Never say never. And so the principle behind that is, whatever the dream is, no matter how big it is, no matter how different it is to how life is right now, we should never say never. Should always be open to the idea that anything is possible. And sometimes when we hear people's dreams, it might be that we feel it's the right thing to do to contribute by maybe sharing how to make that possible and what to do and what step to take. But what we found really works is, instead of telling people what to do and where to go and who to speak to, having a conversation that helps the person find their own solutions. So that might be asking questions like, how would you like to do that? Who would you like to speak to around that? What ideas do you have? What would you like to try? So that actually the shaping of that journey towards the dream is really in the hands of the individual, with the support of other people around them as well. And just as Sarah was saying earlier, it's an ongoing conversation. So it's something that evolves and changes over time. But one of the things that we have witnessed sometimes in the work that we do is a comment around reality. So it might be that somebody says, I want to be an astronaut, or somebody wants to live in Paris, or somebody wants to be the director of a local theatre company. And somebody involved in that conversation, and maybe from the position of somebody who is helping to run services in the local area, encourages a person to kind of think about something that's more realistic and in reality what you can achieve. And for us, that's a big warning sign. There should be a big alarm bell around that, because what we need to remember is whose reality we're working from. And it's not anybody else's position or place to dilute anybody else's dreams. Like we said earlier, anything is possible. And it's not so much it's not so much the dream. We did some work with a young guy that had been going along to the Boys Brigade, and every time he turned up, he was very quiet and he didn't speak to any other people in the room. When it came to activities, he was the last person to either volunteer himself or be asked to join in. And it was really clear that even though he was in this group and in this room with loads of people, he was still on his own. He still wasn't really building the relationships and the connections or enjoying. So we did a path one day, and for a few people there, and he was one of the people that wanted his path doing. And when we start the conversation around dreams, it's very much framed around the questions of, if anything was possible, what would you love to do? If nothing was going to hold you back, what would that be? And really kind of going into that place of getting past any kind of limiting thoughts or beliefs about what's possible. And he said that he wanted to be an astronaut. That was his dream. He wanted to be an astronaut. And that's quite a big dream. But one of the thoughts that crossed my mind is, well, we've had astronauts, so somebody's made it possible. And somebody dreamt about being an astronaut at some point. So who is it for us to say, this guy can't be an astronaut? You know, if that's what he truly wants. And then the second thought was, he may never be an astronaut, but does that really matter? It's still his dream. It's still what he wants. And And then the next thing that started to happen was, well, what can we do? We had the conversation then around, what can we do to help you get there that we can maybe do in the next 6 months? And the other lads at the Boys Brigade started sharing ideas around, well, I've got a book about space travel. I'll bring it in and lend it to you. One of the other guys had a DVD and he wanted to bring that in and lend it to him. And then this other guy that was a little bit more entrepreneurial, perhaps, came up with the idea that what we could do is we could do a fundraiser, we could raise some money, and we could all go down to the Space Centre in Nottingham together, and we'll get closer to space travel in Nottingham. And that's what they decided to do. So at the end of that PATH meeting and at the end of that PATH conversation, we came up with some really nice kind of encouraging ideas that recognised his dream and honoured his dream and his identity. But what was most important was what we saw happen the following week, because when this young lad came into the room, he was no longer ignored. He was no longer the last person to volunteer, and he was no longer the last person to be selected, because in the very heart of creating his path and hearing his dream, we'd created strong connections and friendships and relationships. So hearing the dream isn't always about reaching the dream, but it's about the difference it makes in reality now. So yeah, so that's my little story I wanted to share. So thank you very much, everyone.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the great presentation. Does anybody have any questions for Liz and Sarah? Any questions about their work? Any questions at all from anybody?
How did you do the presentation? How long does it take to do all this process?
As in the presentation we shared today, or having a conversation with people?
Yeah,
or?
to prepare of them all. To prepare your work.
Yeah, to prepare the work for today.
Yes.
Oh, a couple of hours, I think.
Not quick.
Yeah.
We have a lovely lady called Molly who does all of our wonderful drawings for us. So those beautiful pictures that you saw that were drawn images, they were created by Molly, who works with us, and she's really talented artist. So we have an idea, and then we tell Molly what our idea is, and she does the drawings for us, which we use in our presentations.
That's
So,
excellent.
yeah, it's a team effort. We all work together to put our ideas into the presentation, and then Liz and I do the talking usually.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We just had some red hearts shared from Kevin. Was it a plectrum, Kevin?
It's a guitar pick from Guitar Center, but I carved a heart in it because there were some heart reacts last week. And so I was like, oh, I can contribute too. So
oh, beautiful.
Great.
Any other questions from anybody for Sarah, for Liz? Yes, Riku.
Yeah, I'm a very positive person, and I always get along with people nicely and all that. But I keep having these nightmares, and it's very interesting to wake up morning after morning to like, it was a nightmare, and what should I do about it? And it's kind of strange feeling. So is there any advice how I could have a positive touch to those nightmares, Sarah? Or
yeah, that's a difficult one, isn't it? When it's more of a, it sounds like Rico that's more of a physical experience that you're having around actual sleep and what's happening within your sleep, and yeah, that it can be very unsettling in them situations, can't it? Yeah. I'm really sorry, but that's not an area that I know a great deal about, really. But
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, sometimes I know that that can be more of a reflection of concerns and worries that are happening in your life. So, but yeah. And then sometimes our head just does our own thing, doesn't it? When we're asleep, there's just the strangest things happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it really it does something to your brains, you know, like when you're having nightmares, but in the morning. But it's getting better by when the day goes by. Better. It's always dreams, bad dreams. They go away from my mind. So that's a positive thing.
That's reassuring.
Oh, can I
I'd
interrupt
like to,
for just a sec? I want to introduce to Elizabeth, if it's okay. Elizabeth?
Is that me? That's my Sunday name.
Dominic, Neasley, you had something. Oh, hey, Elizabeth.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to let you know I've been listening and I'm inspired to share because the astronaut that became the actor was because that dream of being an astronaut was finally made possible through a play that we created to fulfill the dream that later created the dream of being the actor. Because being an actor, you can be anything you want.
Oh, I love that.
This is an individual.
That's true.
I was told not only that he would never speak and had no language. So at the time, we used to sign so that we could communicate. And now you see, we can't stop him. So just, you know, putting it all together, your presentation really inspired me because we seen it realized. And so always led by that dream. And that dream has overcome so many obstacles of inclusion, of connecting, of using language to communicate where that wasn't the case before. I mean, such a huge major a person has arose or has now as you can see, I don't even have to tell you, but you see that it's really driven that dream has really driven the improvement or the constant wanting to be part of the world now.
Elizabeth, that's amazing. Yeah. That's what it's all about. That's, yeah, it's wonderful.
Neasley, you had something you were going to say?
Yes, I was actually going to first thank the ladies because it's really a beautiful presentation. Because one of the things I have found also working with people who, I don't know, there's a poet, Langston Hughes, who talks about dreams deferred. And the poem is entitled, "What Happens to a Dream Deferred?" And it speaks to exactly the work that you guys are doing. When someone has a dream and that dream has been deferred, whether that dream is denied, there is an opposition to that dream, or there is no one not even one person that they can turn to or who stands with them or supports them or cheers them on, there is something that happens on the inside and pieces of that person starts to die. Then after a while, if you cannot dream, then you can no longer hope. And when hope is deferred and hope is denied, then there's a death that happens within a human being. The soul starts to die. And then after a while, this person is just a shell. And they just, they move about life because they have to, but there's no passion. There's nothing. And you need passion. You need passion. you need hope, you need dreams, you need all of that to, whether it's manifested, like you need to have those things and you need to be able to put them forward for you to actualize as a full human being. And when it's either denied or it is destroyed or it is not supported, it's actually very tragic. So I want to thank you for the work that you do. I also want to address Riku and just kind of share with him that traumas, nightmares and night terrors stem for the most part from trauma, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological trauma that has not been dealt with. So one of the things I would strongly suggest is that you find a support group or you find a way to journal the nightmares when you wake up from them, because you will find after a while when you're sitting, whether it's with a therapist, a counselor, or a support group like group therapy, you will start seeing certain pattern, and maybe you'll be able to unlock some of the things that have been buried that are not, because the challenge with trauma is they don't stay buried for very long. They will come up, and they will come up in whatever manner and whatever ways they can seep out and come up. So as someone who's done work from a trauma-informed care place, I would highly suggest that you do find a space to get some better information or even help with the nightmare, because they sometimes do get worse and become night terrors.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
Any other people before we wrap it up, because we're a little bit over 10:08? Any other questions for Sarah or Liz? Anybody? Well, we just want to say from the group again, Sarah, Liz, thank you so much. This has been such a great workshop, and we're it's so needed now.
Yeah,
you know?
so
Yeah.
inspirational.
Yeah,
like really.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah, we hope to have you for the festival.
Yes, we'll be there.
All right, very good.
Yeah, we'll be there.
And
We've
then-
loved meeting you guys today. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Alistair and Keith, maybe next week you guys can talk about We Are One. I was going to ask you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. So send me a few sentences, then I can make a poster.
And also, I just wanted to remind, on the 3rd, we have magician Thomas on the 3rd, and we have an artist Joshua, and then we have Anita, who's talking more about the festival.
Right.
And so just reminding that please join
Yeah,
on the 3rd.
yes.
So
next.
I
What?
can't do it next week because I'm away next week.
Okay.
But the week I could do it anytime after that.
All right, well, let's do it then the 3rd.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all right. No, it's fine, because Anita, we can split it with We Are One. Okay, so the 3rd, please send a couple sentences over. And then I don't know if you guys see the chat. Please fill out your forms. Tell your friends, family on the 10th. So please talk to your sisters, brothers, grandparents, etc.
Yeah, start early. So
yeah, they can get prepared.
Get prepared.
And we'll send a flyer. Okay, and have a great week, everybody. Let's
Yeah.
Michael, before we go, can we Kevin will be the host.
Oh yeah,
next week.
Kevin, you're the host next week. Dominic has just anointed you.
Why, thank you. I'm not sure if you know this, but my first decree as host, go out and vote Will. Saw that before he left, but you have my endorsement.
Well, no, next week we'll have to start with Will being anointed the president or the prime minister of No Labels, No Walls. I think that's,
Yeah.
no, that's
All right.
He will replace Trump.
Should I talk to you then to as far as hosting goes? So.
Oh yeah, just
time.
email me, call me, whatever you want.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No problem.
All right, next week. See you all. Bye.
Lovely to see you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bless.
Bye. Bye.
See you next